Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here. We're drinking beer and play a game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 72. I'm back!
It's about time. You finally just had to go out, didn't you, Jim? You had to take your little trip to Texas and spread your corona all over the place.
I went to Florida.
Yeah. So I would ask how you're doing, but anyone that follows Twitter knows Jim just continued his trend of drinking terrible beers. And
Wasn't all terrible. Look. We did the math here. Between my brother and I, we went through about 8-ish cases of beer in 9 days, I want to say, and most of a bottle of Knob Creek. And for the most part, it was Keystone. Had a random case of Michelob. He had a couple little random fancy beers here and there. And I brought down a sampler of Victory and of Trogs. So, it wasn't all garbage. There's some quality in there.
So you went through about the equivalent of 4 cases of water, some Coors Light, and a few decent beers, is what you're telling me.
How dare you, sir.
Here's my thinking. And the reason I give Jim the most shit for this is, as we've said from the beginning of this website, if you're in college, if you're just starting out drinking, if you can't afford good beer, whatever. Or if you just haven't experienced beer, or you're going to a party to play beer pong, and your goal is to just get blackout drunk and you need to drink all day, there's a time and place for Keystone and shitty beers. But you're a grown-ass man, Jim. You need to appreciate your beers a little more, considering you've at least now tried a lot of beers. And, I doubt your goal was to get blackout drunk. So you can just sit back and enjoy a few good beers versus drinking all those Keystones, because you also have the bladder of a goddamn 2-year-old and you pee every 3 minutes. So if you're going through that much beer, you're taking a sissy all the time.
I did take many sissies, but I also have an event horizon with my bladder where after about 2 hours of steady consistent Keystone intake and peeing every 15 minutes, I eventually hit a point where I don't have to pee as much anymore. Until, I fall asleep and then I'm peeing all through the night. But besides that.
I was going to say, or
and look,
just
Brian,
that point where you just pee yourself.
Besides, well, no, I actually didn't do that. But to your point, reasons to go with these lighter beers when you're down to shore. 1, it's too goddamn hot to spend all day drinking craft beer. Way too hot. 2, if I was going to be drinking craft beer all day, even if I'm drinking, say I'm drinking like 7 beers throughout the course of the day. 1, I don't have that kind of self-control. And 2, that would be way too much alcohol and it would just put me on my ass. So this way I can just consistently pound throughout the course of the day and enjoy myself.
Yeah, but that's my point. That's what I was...
And 3, when I go on vacation, I'm going to do some goddamn drinking. So I gotta protect the wallet a little bit.
Interesting. Now, the only thing I'll say is I don't know if from just these years of drinking heavy-ass craft beers, but, and we'll get to it, as I've been doing more Twitch streams and just, I did have my brother over this weekend, but I had bought a case of Rolling Rock and, I think he brought Coors Light or something. Dude, I realized even when I'm playing games, I went through 7 of them and I felt fine. No headache the next day.
Yep.
It's just, like I said, and I haven't had a Rolling Rock since whatever the last time me and you had a Rolling Rock together. It's been forever.
It's been a long time.
But I'm just like, oh my God, these go down stupid fast. It's just, I don't know. But
that's another thing too, because when you're in a house with 4 kids under the age of 12, especially with, 2 kids that are 2 and 3 running around all day, you don't want to be hungover in the morning. I was hungover once. The first night into the second day, I was hungover because, I was just slamming Trogs once we got there. And I was like, oh, I got to make up for time. And then I woke up and be like, ugh. But luckily, the ocean can go on the list of a great hangover cure. Because, oh boy, when you step in and that first cold wave hits your beanbag, ooh, that perks you right up.
I guess that is one way to do it, Jim.
I'm just saying, there's another alternative out there.
So, aside from your terrible drinking on vacation, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, first off, speaking of my vacation, I did find a great beer for those who want to still have some good beer taste, but watch your calories a little bit. And that's
Jim.
That is the Easy Ringer IPA by Victory. It's about 4.6% alcohol, which for a light beer is respectable. 96 calories, but a more full-bodied light beer taste than you would get with your typical Coors and Millers of the worlds. So if you're a snob but you want to watch your little tum tum, that's a good beer to go with, I'll say.
Jim.
What? What? That is good advice. That is good advice.
This would be the equivalent of you trying to give someone advice about how they're working out at the gym. You shouldn't be giving this advice, Jim. That's all I'm trying to say.
I wish I had more of them. I only had 3. I could have lived off that all week. Can't find just a case of that. I've been perfect.
Well, I'm glad you gave that hot tip for everyone that follows us. That's really trying to watch their figure.
Yeah, so for Nick.
He can drink whatever he wants. He works out hard enough that calories ain't an issue.
That is very true.
So what are you drinking tonight? Are you drinking that shit?
No, I drank all this. I am drinking a couple of old favorites. So I'm starting out with a New Belgium flat tire.
Nice.
Nice one to always go to. Always good standby. And a Hop Wallop IPA by Victory.
Hop Wild. Did I have that?
Hop Wallop.
What is that? Is that their
It's
IPA or
it's a seasonal favorite IPA. Comes in at 7.5% alcohol by volume. Now with a punch of Citra. Welcome back to our boldly hoppy pal. Legendary Cascade hops mix it up with assertive Simicone for a powerful, citrusy, and earthy foundation that is galvanized with a big punch of fruity Citra. This IPA packs a hoppy wallop.
I hate you.
Maltzer, Pilsner, and Carapils. Hops of Citra, Simcoe, Cascade, and Chinook. Brewmaster's approval of Bill and Ryan.
I still hate you.
As much as I hate myself.
All right, so I'm going with, I got a variety pack of the Lancaster Brewing Company. If you follow this site, I've talked about they make a double milkshake, a stout, which is or double chocolate milkshake stout, which is really good. But this is all supposed to be geared towards summer beers, and I already killed off most of the easy drinking ones. So tonight I'm trying out the Blood Orange Tart Ale, which is an ale brewed with pink Himalayan sea salt, lime peel, and blood orange. Cheers to our uniquely delicious, ludicrously refreshing, and easy drinking, mildly tart ale. What the fuck? Did you write this, Jim? Brewed with white wheat, blood orange, lime peel, and pink Himalayan salt. Here's the deal. You would probably like this beer because
as soon as you read it off, I was like, "Ooh, blood orange." I like blood orange beers.
Yeah, I love blood orange beers, but usually when they're a little stronger. This thing is fucking tart. Like, I look at it, it's 4.9%. I guess it's the lime peel because blood orange typically is not this tart. It has a friggin' bite to it, so you would actually probably enjoy that.
Probably.
Then I'm closing it up with Lancaster's Hop Belly IPA. It's a session Indian style IPA. I kind of hate when they already suggest it's a session beer. I've never tried either of them, so yeah, I'm already almost done. We had technical issues, as we always do when we start these things.
Fucking Windows 10 updates. God damn it. Every time.
So I'm almost done to Blood Orange. But, yeah, I may even indulge in a third beer, depending on how this goes. But, Jim, I don't say this too often, but I was pretty goddamn proud of you. Because it looks like on vacation, you tried some new games.
Yeah, I was feeling like, let me dick around with Super NES Online on the Switch. Simple, easy, pop it on, play some games, why not? So, finally went through the original Star Fox, was like, you know what? Fuck it. One of these days I have to eventually play through the whole thing and, beat it. So, I did through the basic bitch run, you can say. And, fun game. If it's a game you didn't grow up with, you'll look at it and be like, oh, this is going to be horribly choppy, and it plays surprisingly well. I don't think it's as good as the people who grew up with it say, but it's a solid game to go through. And then I played a little Wild Guns, which is a fun third-person gallery kind of shooter game. And it's hard as dick and kicks my ass, but...
Yeah, it's a rail shooter, right?
Not even a rail shooter. It's really more like... Imagine like a light gun game, but you had control of your, of an actual player character on the screen, running back and forth and dodging shit.
Yeah. I for some reason, I thought that's defined as a rail shooter, because you're on a rail moving left to right and shooting.
See, I always considered a rail shooter more like Star Fox, where it's like you're also moving the whole time from like behind. Where this one, it's like to me, this is like Hogan's Alley with a player that you can dodge with and use bombs.
Yeah, I think technically, I don't know, maybe both could be considered rail. It's like, yeah, if you're on a fixed axis, moving back and forth and shooting, I think that's supposed to be rail. So that's why.
I'm sure.
But no.
I'm sure someone will give us an actually and tell us what it is.
I do. That is it's a stupidly fun, simple game that I think it sometimes gets overlooked.
It does, and that like now I'm just like, yeah, shit. I wish I had a system that could play that remaster that they did, because I heard nothing but good things about that.
It's like Jim's finally that kid that discovers, you know what, Super NES is a good system.
I never said it wasn't.
You bitch about it all the time.
I bitch
you
about
hate RPGs.
Yes, I do. But when you when you go beyond stupid weeb stories, there's so many. You can find some good games on the system. Surprisingly enough.
You son of a bitch.
When you're not busy crying to Final Fantasy VI and its stupid opera.
Well, either way, I am proud that you actually tried some good games from a good system for once. So I had to get that in there.
I know you did. I was doing the jerk off motion. You'll see.
Jim, you do that on and off camera all the time.
Especially when we record.
Damn it.
Your voice is so silky smooth.
So I've been going through a game we're going to be reviewing, and I think we talked about it last podcast, but mentioned by our buddy Nick, Tiny Tanks. I don't want to give away my feelings of the game. The only thing I will say, so what I generally like to do if I'm trying, since I'm the one that's getting the footage for the full playthrough, is if I need to get full playthrough footage, then I'm just going to want to get easy mode, because I need to see the story, I need to see the ending, and I need to do it as fast as possible. And I went through 6 or 7 levels.
Did it happen? Did it crash?
No, it didn't crash. It said, you cannot continue. If you want to continue, you have to do normal or hard. So I was just like,
bitch.
I was like, okay, well, this is going to be one of those games. The only thing I wish is, and you and I have talked about
now I wonder
that,
if
like,
mine on normal still wouldn't let me go and I had to play on hard. Because I've seen hard playthroughs. Maybe you need to do that to see the whole game? I don't know,
but it just, I'm absolutely fine with games that like give you a worse ending or whatever. But I would rather a game just give you a warning saying, like, if you're going to do easy, it's going to cut off at this point.
Would be nice.
Like, if I ever play a game just out the box or whatever, I always leave it normal. As I said, even if it's a game I've played a million times, if I'm doing footage for the site, I do it easy to get it done fast. And I was just like, okay, so now I'm replaying through it through normal. And like I said, I don't want to give any opinions, but I'll just say it's a good pick, Nick. I'll leave it at that. And I'm excited to do the full review for that guy.
Yeah, I can agree.
But other than that, and we're going to probably hop right into it next, I assume. Everything I've been streaming on Twitch. Twitch, Jim and I have had quite a friggin' journey, and we've talked about it. The issues I've had with logging in and it locking us out. And finally, I just, out of the blue, I was like, let me just try to get on here, but let me put some effort into streaming. Let me see what I can do. I went through OBS, Streamlabs, and I figured out a configuration where I am actually able to stream and make it semi-good looking. I'll put it that way, without completely crashing my computer like I did the first time. So, yeah, I've been going through Skyrim again with that. I've been doing these challenges in Call of Duty, and I did the those friggin' Atari games. Oh my god. Fuck that Frankenstein's monster game.
You're dead set on trying to beat that.
Well, I'm so glad Todd told me. He's like, no, this is like a notoriously really hard game. I thought I was just like, I'm just drunk and I'm doing terrible. But I was like, why can't I? And you know how I get. Once I get something stuck in my head, I'm gonna beat it. So I am going to beat that game. But yeah, those Atari horror games, they were rough. So for those of you who don't know already, we actually, after a week of doing it, we're able to become Twitch affiliates now. And I thank you, anyone, if you are listening to this and you do support us, you follow us, you've been watching the streams, you shared our stuff on Twitch or Twitter. Thank you so much. I do have a schedule, and I'm updating it every single week. I usually will have it updated by Tuesday at the latest for the rest of the week. But the one most consistent day is every Thursday night. I call it Bloodthirsty Thursdays, as I said in my post, inspired by our friend Cy, who does Scurry Sundays. I just wanted to dedicate a day to doing horror games, and I don't have a very specific agenda. I'm just going to pick a horror game or a series of horror games and play through them. Like this week, I'm probably going to do Nightmare on Elm Street on the NES, because that's one I've only played like 10 to 15 minutes of, and it seems like it probably should be easy enough to beat and maybe one sitting. I'm going to probably regret saying that. But either way, yeah, the Twitch thing's been very interesting. And if you guys don't already, please go over there, just follow us, and look at our schedule to follow Jim and I whenever we're going to start streaming a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put the notifications out there on the socials whenever Brian gets up on there. I would like to hop on and do it. Maybe when the Rona subsides a bit, I'll go over there and Brian can just give me all of his OBS setups, because I'm a dum-dum when it comes to OBS. I'm very limited. So anytime I would ever hop on to stream would be like off my Xbox, something I can do there. So it won't be as professional. But,
yeah.
You know, every once in a while I'll try to hop on there too. But yeah, no, Brian's been busting his ass on that, so good work, Brian. Rick.
Thanks, Jim.
And yeah,
no, it's been fun. What I like about it is just like
it's a different audience than normally shows up.
It's a different audience. It's also like, it's a different feeling. I mean, you and I never streamed much on Twitch.
No, it was always
It is funny because I do feel a certain sense of like, sometimes like when I was getting really hardcore into Frankenstein's game, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh yeah, I should be like talking to the camera too. Like I get focused into it. So I realize though, when I go through games and when I did this for Alien Isolation and Outlast, I remember I was like, I didn't think about as much of the game as I am like paying attention to other people. So it's interesting to do. It's just a different experience. And as Jim and I have said, I give credit to anyone that can maintain a crazy ass schedule and try and be on all the time, because that ain't us. We ain't full-time entertainers. We just gonna be as raw as we are, just like with the podcast. So
they ain't got kids.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's an interesting experience, and like I said, it's oddly enough, I feel like the community, that even a little bit we've seen, tends to be a little more supportive than most other social media platforms, which is odd, because I was not expecting that.
Yeah, no, I was surprised by the amount of people that showed up. So, yeah, once again, thank you all. And of course, right after I left for vacation, basically, we hit 800,000 views on YouTube. So, you know, cool.
Yeah, no, we've you guys have really been helping watch our stuff.
Slow, very steady.
Jim, stop worrying about the subscriber count. Stop worrying about it all.
Look, no. See, I've come to an impasse where it's like I do worry about too much about the numbers, but I am happy for what we have too.
Yeah,
very small community, but it's a very tight knit. It's a good community we have going here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a slow crawl for sure, and it's funny because we bitch, and like you said, when we were at 500 subscribers or something, we were like, God damn, someone's bitching about having that much. Like, you know, it's just one of those things that you always look at the very tippy top. You never recognize where you're at. So thanks again for everyone who supports us, who, like I said, shares all of our stuff across every social media platform. We're trying to make sure we stay way more consistent with the podcast. Now Jim's back from vacation. We do have plans for getting reviews out more regularly once again, and other videos. But like I said, we just truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you.
Yep, definitely. Thank you so much, guys. Right, speaking of our small little tight-knit community, we have a Patreon.
You son of a bitch.
Patreon.com/drink a beer and play a game, where for as little as $2 measly per month, you can ask a question that we will answer on each and every single episode of this Power Hour podcast. Right, I don't know if you've noticed lately, but we have a hype man.
We have the best hype man, and as I've said, he is better on hype and cutting bits than most professional wrestlers today.
Oh, he is.
Which is ironic, because he's training to become one.
It is true. So, our buddy Nerdy Nick, so he cuts a Hick Nick promo. That's his character that he does every Friday when we do our $1 and our Patreon shoutouts. So, for one measly dollar, you can be part of his great promos. Come on now, people. How can you turn that down? But he left us a question right after, because we did a 2 for 2 weeks ago, so we didn't miss a podcast. So, he got his question in a little late. So, his holdover from episode 71. And, oh, Jesus. Okay, I'm going to try it, Bri. I'm going to try.
Oh, God, I'm already nervous.
It's going to be bad, but I'll just do it for this one. Yeah, buddy, it's Sick Nick here with a Q for you. What's your favorite MK game in the series and why? Also, would you like to see Final Fight get another installment? If so, in what style? We've seen them break from the 2D side-scrolling, ass-kicking, jaw-breaking, power-slamming, legend-making style. So what's your take? Also, I'm virtually slapping Jim's nuts again. Yeah, buddy. Woo-hoo!
Don't ever do that again, Jim.
Hopefully I didn't wake my kid up doing that.
Okay, so now you're going to have to ask that question again because I was too busy being angry that you were doing that.
Nick, I'm sorry I trampled all over it. What do you call it? What's your favorite MK game in the series and why? Also, would you like to see Final Fight get another installment? In so, what style? We've seen them break from the 2D, side-scrolling, ass-kicking, jaw-breaking, power-slamming, legend-marking style. What is your take?
All right, so MK, as we covered it in our reviews, I still say 9 or 10 from the modern game. I mean, either one of those, it really comes down to story and characters. They play the best. They have the most things to offer. They're just amazing games. But I also still have a special place in my heart for MK Trilogy because that was the one I dumped the most time into as a kid, especially on the PlayStation. So it's really a complete tie between those two.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Like, nostalgically, I would probably go 2. I think overall I spent the most time with that. The most surprising one I'd probably say would be like Deception. And Mortal Kombat 9's probably the best in the series overall.
Yeah. I mean, there's not many misses. Let's be honest. In the actual main series, there's not many misses.
Yeah, for sure. Like, Armageddon has its problems because it tried to fit in so much. Even Trilogy to a certain extent because it tried to fit in so much. But yeah, nothing's really truly bad.
Yeah.
And the whole 6th gen is wholly underrated.
Oh, for sure. But as far as Final Fight, I don't really crave or need them back because, to be honest, I played more Streets of Rage and other beat 'em ups. I played, I think, every other beat 'em up on a Super NES except Final Fight. Not that I didn't like it. When I do play it, it's fine. But I'm not really like clamoring. Every time I think of Final Fight being revived, though, I think of you, Jim, going out and buying that Final Fight.
I was going to bring that up. So
okay, I'll let you bring that up.
Yeah.
But so I care if they bring it back? Not really, but if they do bring it back, fuck, man, just copy what Streets of Rage did. I'm not crazy about the style. I'd rather it be in a different art style, but bring it back, but give the homages to the old games. Have like the old music, old costumes, so you can give some fan service to those that really, really love the series. But yeah, I think that would probably be a smart idea because what else does Capcom have to lose?
Yeah, really. And to your point. So, Final Fight Streetwise, the 3D one, brawler beat 'em up that they made back in the PS2 days. I bought it. I was like, hey, Final Fight's a beat 'em up. I haven't played one in a long time. Let's try it. Bought it. Had it for about a week maybe. I played it, hated it. You were like, let me try this. And you played it for a little bit and you liked it more than I did.
Because I was better at it.
Oh no, that game just sucked.
No, the game sucks. But
you were probably better at me. Fine, whatever. Doesn't matter. Game sucks. So, like, you know how I am with games and collecting and hoarding and all that shit. That is one of the few games I have ever returned to a game store where even I went, fuck this, I don't want it. So, yeah, like you said, I would love to see another Final Fight. Why not? Even to make Brian more happy. Give it the Double Dragon neon look with all the, the body of Streets of Rage 4, and there you go. That would be perfect.
Yeah. No, it would be very cool. But I think an interesting concept, do Streets of Rage versus Final Fight. And just combined all the characters together and have a legit fight mode mixed in with an actual story mode. Like, give everyone a full-fledged craziness.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
All right, so for the questions for this episode 72, well, Nerdy Nick started with, now would be a great time to have a guest fill in if you can't do it. Keep that in mind.
Nick, you're always welcome, whether we need it or not.
That is true. Next up, Game Whisperer Dean. What is your take on Shakedown Hawaii coming out for the Wii and Wii U?
Jim, you take it away. I don't even know what that question means.
I think Shakedown Hawaii was made by the same guys who made the, what the hell is that called? Hotline Miami. So, I think it's like the more, like, upgraded visually style of that. Like, Hotline Miami was 8-bit. This one's more like 16-bit-ish, I think. So, I think it's cool as shit that people are still releasing games on these systems. And it's not just, like, Ubisoft putting Just Dance 2020 on them. Like, you know, the systems are still around. They still have fans, so it's cool to give them something new to play.
Boo.
Oh, boo yourself. It's on everything else, too. It's not like you're missing out on anything.
Yeah. Don't release on those systems. Just let those systems die like they should. But if that game is how you're describing, then I'm all for it. I love what the hell was that name of the game? Party Hard.
Oh, yeah.
That played in that style. Man, was that goddamn fun. And I really want to play more games like that. So I'll gladly do that on new systems and not those two terrible ones. So
hey, you implement that Wii U gamepad controller in there somehow cool. I'm all for it.
You can implement it by putting it in the garbage.
Next up, from G to the next level. I just got a copy of SWAT Cats for the Super NES, and it got me thinking, because I know Jim is a big fan. Yes, I am. What are some of your favorite Ninja Turtle knockoffs from your childhood? Chaz.
Ninja Turtle knockoffs. Maybe I just can't think of that many knockoffs from Ninja Turtles.
I'll start. So, my favorite, would have been SWAT Cats, but, you know, we already mentioned that. So, I guess the next one I would say, I didn't really watch a shitload of them, but I would probably say Street Sharks. And I never even watched a show, but those toys were fucking awesome.
Yeah, they were. Those were pretty. That would be goddamn cool. If they did a Street Sharks updated new game, I don't even know how you do it. Oh, there's plenty of ways to do it, but if that truly is considered a knockoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, then yeah, that would probably be my choice right there.
I mean, I consider it one. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm right.
Yeah.
We'll see. So, yeah, I mean, you have your Cowboys of Moo Mesa, or your Biker Mice from Mars, or even the Mighty Ducks, I would consider. So, you know, any anthropomorphic, living with real people-ish kind of shit.
Yeah. See, most of the things you just named, I never even knew about as a kid. So that's why I'm just saying, like, it's just my ignorance to recognizing there were that many knockoffs.
They're out there. There's a market for it. But no, that's a good question, G. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, bud.
Bathy Whistler SWAT Cats. I am jealous of you having that. Next up, from Nerdy Nick 91. Yeah, buddy. I gotta ask, what is your favorite movie tie-in game? Mine is probably Toy Story for the Sega Genesis.
Ooh, movie tie-in game. Oh, shit, man. I feel like there's a lot of them.
I'll let you think.
Jim,
I'll go first. I hear you're struggling over there. Probably strictly for nostalgia reasons, it's going to be Aladdin on a Genesis. It's, you know, great platformer, hard as fucking nails, but beautiful graphics, good music, tight gameplay. You know, toss up between whether that or the Super NES one's better. So, if you like more of a straight platformer, go with the Super NES one. If you want a little bit more of an action platformer, go with the Genesis one. My second place would probably be Adventures of Batman and Robin, which is another balls hard game, but another great one. So, yeah, those would probably be my picks for... Adventures of Batman and Robin isn't a movie. So, Aladdin, there you go. There's your answer.
It's funny because I was just talking about this on Twitch. Alien Isolation. It's not a direct movie tie-in, but
a spin-off.
It's a complete spin-off, gives a different story, but ties enough. It is easily top 10, one of the best horror games ever made. It's one of those games that whether you're a horror fan or not, you can appreciate how goddamn good of a game it is. And going back to me, the whole point of video games is give you a certain feeling. How friggin' scared you are trying to hide from that xenomorph, dude. That game is just visually, sound, it's just perfectly made. So it's one of the best experiences and what you would really hope for from an Alien movie. So it'd probably be that for me.
All right, fair enough. Thank you, Nick. Next up from Gamer Astral, the moral implications of emulation. Thoughts on game preservation?
Oh, fuck. There's nothing, and I saw you kind of going with this. There's nothing immoral about emulating. There's something immoral about, like, the jackasses, and I think you even did something about this, but when you decide to get a bunch of ROMs, put them on something, and then turn around and sell them to people. I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with you. If you're going to do it by yourself. It's the same assholes that would, like, pirate DVDs back in the day and sell them for $5 in shitty cases. Like, some people do not ever want to pay $200 for an old retro game that's probably not even that good. And I don't feel bad at all because, especially on the old systems, it's not hurting those developers to go and emulate a game. And as Jim and I have said, and probably if there was ever a study done, going back and playing those games makes you more likely to go out and want to find those games and buy them if they're good enough. Like, I've done that with plenty of games.
Me too.
I'm a very, very big proponent of let people just emulate to try them out. It doesn't hurt anyone. Now, I'm not cool if you're somehow able to do that with, like, the current gen, which I'm sure people can. But yeah, especially from 64 and before, and fuck it, even PS2, I'm all for it. I think it's actually a better way to make sure that game history is preserved, because you got assholes out there who want to hoard and buy multiple copies, then set price points, and it fucks over the regular gamers and consumers when you have shelf collectors who just want to have a pretty collection. Like Jim, the goddamn picture you just liked on Twitter. That fucking asshole. That guy.
What? Super Mario Duck Hunt. He's got a whole wall of them. He wants to get 380 copies to fill up his bookshelf.
He's a fucking he's a piece of shit. Like, that's a fuck.
That
game.
Is the
shittiest.
Millions of them out there.
But here's the deal.
He's not going to make a black market for Super Mario Duck Hunt because of his shelf.
But this is my point. This is why emulation is important, because you got some jackass who just, for the sheer sake of wanting to have 380 copies of the same game.
It's cute.
It's not cute. It's if you just, you know what, print out the labels, buy blank carts, and do it. Because he's never, ever, ever going to play any. He's probably played that game once in his life, and it's a cute idea to him. Like, that shit isn't cool for me, because there are going to be people out there who legit want to buy that game to play it, not to just have it sit on a shelf. So emulation, I'm much more for people who want to truly play games. And to me, zero moral implications.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to the Mario Duck Hunt shelf, if someone wants to go out and buy that game, they're still going to be able to find it, even if 300 of them are on a shelf somewhere.
That guy's still a piece of shit.
They're not going to... No.
He's a complete... Tell me one good reason why you got to do that.
There's no good reason to do it. It's something goofy. It's a game that everyone has. No one needs more than one copy of. It's stupid. But
okay, so then
it's not going to keep people from getting it, because people will still be able to find it.
But why do you need to hoard 380 copies? Why?
There's no good reason. It just looks cool.
Exactly. So then it doesn't even look cool.
Yes,
That's
it does.
The thing.
It's beautiful.
Jim, how does that look cool?
Because I'm stupid. That's why. Just let me like something dumb. Fuck.
No, because that's all you like is dumb stuff. We need to break that from you, Jim.
Never. Be fun, Brian. Be fun.
I'm all for fun, which is why I think emulation is fine.
Yeah, so do I. Look, we've said it 1,000 times before, and it's been... Look, we're the Napster generation. So, here's the thing. If you're going to pirate something, or if you're going to emulate it, chances are you weren't going to fucking buy it in the first place anyway, so you're really not stealing the sale from anyone. And if you're playing 30-year-old games, 99% of the time, you're not taking money out of anyone's pocket doing it. So, it doesn't really fucking matter. It's better to be able to play the games, like you said, than to not have them available. So, no, there's nothing wrong with emulation.
So, Jim, I saw you answer this on Twitter. I forget the guy's handle, but somebody I think put that up there and said hey, I just want to get people's honest opinion about this.
Oh, that was more than a podcast. Yeah.
Are there actually a lot of people out there who are against emulating in any sense?
Yeah.
Really?
There's the people who are like, you haven't really fully experienced a game unless you play it on the original hardware in an original game on an original controller out of a CRT TV. There's that crowd out there. It's niche and they're annoying. But, I mean, it's fine. If that's what you want to do, then fine. But, you got to know that emulation's fine. Shut up.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it goes back to that argument you and I have talked about. If you want to, for some reason, be the ultimate speedrunner, yada, 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 no, you shouldn't be able to use emulation. And if it's important to someone like you, and you want to say, hey, I beat Ninja Gaiden, but I emulated it, then you're going to get an ace. So it's like, if you want to deal with that shit, then no, you're going to get backlashes. But I'm really amazed that anyone, for reasons outside of that kind of stupid shit, would have thinking this is truly immoral. I don't know.
Because people are nerds, Brian. That's the problem.
Yeah,
they're nerds and they cling on way too tight. So
and they buy 380 copies of a goddamn game.
No, he is into feng shui.
No, he's never had a girl in his life.
I don't know why you're so mad about some guy having 400 copies of Duck.
I'm more mad because you're defending him so hard. If you didn't defend him, and if I know there's a part of you that legit likes, if you could, you would do that with River Raid.
I would.
And that's what pisses me off, because I would gladly destroy all those copies for you and then give you the money for it.
You know what? Fuck it. We need a dirt cheap game so I can have a goddamn 300 shelf collection. So anyone out there, if you ever see virtual chess on the Atari 2600, send it to our P.O. box and I will make a wall filled of them.
And I will promise what will happen is I will get those from Jim, whether he wants me to or not. I will get Tananite and I will blow them all up in a beautiful made video.
Yeah. Good question,
because
what?
Because I just hate that you just keep defending so much stupid shit. Have substance, Jim. Fuck.
I'm full of substance. Lots of substance.
You're full of jelly.
And finally, from Sandy N. What do you think you know a lot about, but probably don't?
How would I know I don't if I think I know a lot about it?
Maybe it's something that you think you know a lot about, but then you'd be surprised at length. Here's something. I could say that I know a lot about The Simpsons, but then if you go past 2001, then I don't know shit.
Wow.
But if you go before that, I can quote every single episode.
I don't know. I think because me and you do this with beer and games, I've been humbled so much. I thought I knew a lot about beer and games before we started this shit. And then as we did it, I fully, real quick was oh, I don't know shit. And even to this day, I've done stupid amounts of research. I feel like it's like anything in life. I feel more humbled, so I'm trying to think of an example of
Yeah, I mean, even video games, I know a lot about it, but I don't know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll keep it to that then. My original being humbled by knowing roughly numbers of video games and beer, like I said, the shit behind beer and what goes into it and everything. I feel like any person who truly takes a hobby to a next level, you very, very, very quickly realize, oh shit, I can go down this rabbit hole and there's a whole nother world. So, yeah, I think it's also just nice to, when you do get humbled like that, take everything you do and approach it that way. Realize you don't know shit about shit.
Yeah, I mean, I say all the time how much of a dum-dum I am. I'm a drummer. I know a lot about drumming, but I don't know nearly as much as, the hardcores know about it. People who can, distinguish 350 BPM single, triple stroke rolls and shit like that. No. Or, or, I don't know, octopus hentai. There's a lot of things that I'm into that I don't know everything about.
But you know what's amazing with you, Jim? you are willing to say you're dumb very often.
Yep.
So I give you half credit there. But then on 90% of the things you do in your life, no, I'm not backing it. Just tell me if what I'm about to say is wrong. But then 90% of everything you do in life, you completely just kind of half-ass and bullshit your way through and act like you know more than you're actually saying.
Oh yeah.
Like you'll never just say, yeah, I really don't know that. Like if there's a conversation going, Jim is that guy, you just look out for him. He'll just be nodding his head like, yeah, man, I know just about, like, he'll know nothing about what you're talking about. And he'll just agree with it and keep it going.
I won't know nothing about it. I'll know one thing about it. Look, Bri, I like to, if I can quote Jimmy Page here of Led Zeppelin, he never said that he was a good guitarist. He never said that he was a good guitar. Why can I not say this? He was never a good guitarist, but he knew, like, he was never good at any one style, but he knew a lot of styles that he could just kind of bullshit together. So that's kind of like me.
None.
I don't know a lot about many things, but I know a little bit about a lot of things. So just mush it all together, and I can stay in the conversation for about 5 minutes before derping out.
No, but that's my point. Is like somehow you try. Like I'll be the type that if I really know nothing, like if you try and talk to me about soccer, I'll right off the bat be like, I don't watch a single thing. If Jim ever watched one single game and knows one team's name, he'll go on like, and you talk the conversation, he'll keep that going like he's heard of it all and agree with you and give you like social cues like, yeah, like, oh man, like that team, that's a really crazy team. Never heard of them. But like he said, he'll throw in his one nugget, but then keep it going. It's an interesting thing you do there, Jim.
Look, Brian, just because I'm a fan of Diego Forlan's beautiful hair from the 2009 World Cup doesn't mean that I don't know how to say anything about things, all right? Come on now.
See, exactly. Just because I don't know how to say things about things, that sums you up.
Nah, I'm a bullshit artist. We're bullshit artists in our own way.
Yeah. But no, that's a good question. And yeah, like I said, it's I feel like there's no hobby I've ever taken up that I didn't realize real quickly. Like, fuck, there's too much to this. So, good question.
Great questions all. Once again, thank you all to our patrons. If you want to ask a question yourself, head over to Patreon, $2 a month, or buy a t-shirt. Or donate to us on streams when Brian does them. Give us money. I'm so shameless.
Damn it, Jim. All right, so Jim, I've already gone through my first two beers. Well, let me just round out for the Blood Orange Tart Ale. It's not my speed. It's a little too tart, not enough like flavor payback. If you really like sours and tarts, you might appreciate it. The only good thing I'll say about it is very light. Now the Hot Belly IPA, it tastes like a watered down IPA. Like they're calling it a session IPA, which is what it's supposed to be, like very easy drinking. But as Jim and I have said, IPAs aren't already it's not like they're my favorite style to begin with. So if I am going to enjoy an IPA, I want some good, interesting flavors. And this one is just, it's an easy, light summer beer, which is what it's meant to be. But yeah, they're okay at best.
Yeah, what do you call it? New Belgian Flat Tire. It's a fantastic Belgian white. Gives a ton of lacing on the glass as you drink it. Nice little hazy, body to it. Perfectly great flavor. Highly recommended. If you've never had like a Belgian, that's like the one I would say try this one first. And the Victory IPA Wallop, or the Hop Wallop. It's, it's very good. You can definitely get the citrus taste from it, both on the mouthfeel and in the aftertaste. Like, it's more orangey, lemony on the aftertaste, whereas it's more hoppy as you first take your sips of it. It doesn't taste like a 7.5% beer. I'll give it that. So this can be a little bit of a dangerous one. But no, Victory, you're hard-pressed to find a bad beer from Victory for the most part. What?
Jim.
What? I know I just said it for both of them. You're hard-pressed to find a bad beer from me.
Nope. Here's the deal.
Christ, here we go.
I was going to let it go.
Every episode.
I was going to let it go. But you just did something, and like you said, it could have just been an easy slip. But it also... So you talked about Fat Tire. Mm-hmm. You called it a white ale. It's a red ale or an amber ale.
I am reading it right in front of me. It is a Belgian white.
Jim.
It is a wheat ale with orange peel.
Did you say... You said Fat Tire, right?
New Belgian Fat Tire, yeah.
Okay. Just look that up online. Is all I'm gonna
I
say
am
to
looking
everybody out
at
there.
the glass,
Just-
the bottle
just-
in front of me. I am reading it.
When you poured it, was it kind of amberish, Jim?
Not really.
So it was pale and yellow?
It was more on the yellow side, yeah. Just, thick and hazy.
Okay. Anyone watching, just look up online is all I'm going to suggest.
I'm gonna fucking center this on the goddamn camera right now.
That's not what
piece of
that is
shit.
not what I'm asking everyone to do. Just type in New Belgium Fat Tire, and we'll take it from there.
I listen to the people on tab. They know what it is instead of the people who break the fucking beer and put it on their goddamn labels.
Jim, just even on their website, just look it up.
No, Brad.
Hold on. Let me grab more beer.
Grab
Hold
this
on, I'm
dick
stopping
while you're
the
at it,
camera.
you piece of shit.
All right, so Jim, the next topic is one.
It's close to home.
Yeah, you've had issues with this, and I
No, it actually just finally happened. I thought I was gonna get away with it.
you know what? As much as I like to laugh about how Nintendo is such a I don't give a fuck company anymore, and how they really just kind of they tend to shut down their fans' throats. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
This is just another in a never-ending cycle with them, and it's probably one of the more kind of I don't know if it's the most egregious, but why don't you explain what's the issue with the Switch?
The biggest problem with the Switch is the controllers, Brian, especially with their Joy-Cons and the sticks and stick drift. Except for mine, which decided to just take a shit completely and just not fucking register anymore, except for like the face buttons. But so it's been wide known since it started. The Switch has Joy-Con drift issues, and it doesn't just affect the Joy-Cons. It's wound up affecting some people's Pro controllers and even the Switch Lite, which is even harder to replace. At least with the normal Joy-Con, they're relatively easy to replace the sticks. And it's cheap, and it's not that big a deal. It's just a pain in the dick. It's been going on since day one. 3 years later, Nintendo formally apologized for it. And Brian, do you want to know why they formally apologized?
Why did they apologize, Jim?
Because there's a class action lawsuit going on, Brian. Maybe now they're trying to have good optics about this. Maybe that's what it fucking takes.
So,
Fucking
okay,
assholes.
I don't have this issue yet, and you play your Switch way more than me, so I'm sure I'll get the issue. But just so I know, when you're saying drift issue, you just basically mean the stick stops working, and your right stick basically it makes it seem like it's always moving, right?
Yeah, like even if you're not touching it, then like you're always kind of drifting to one direction, kind of deal. Never centers itself, blah blah blah. Which I
So
never
is
even
it really
had. Mine
just
just
like-
shit the bed.
Is it just shittily made? Like, is that basic? If you were to simplify it as easily as possible, because it's odd that you're saying though it's also happening on the Pro controllers.
It's a lot more rare on a Pro controller, but I've heard people like when my Joy-Con broke, I put a bitchy tweet out like I always do, and then people were like, "Yeah, man, I'm having it on my Switch Lite now," or "Yeah, I have it on my Switch Pro controller," which those are the ones that definitely shouldn't be happening on. So
Yeah,
Holy
that's the
shit.
one that confuses me the most, because I'm like, is there some kind of software in the control? Like,
it's just got to be
is it-
faulty design. I don't know what the fuck it is,
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, or
and they keep trying to fix it, I guess, and they just never do.
it's very odd, and I really do feel bad because how much are Joy-Cons? if you
Dude,
need to
they
go?
are expensive. Like you can get, I think the cheapest you can get them for like normal retail is maybe 65 to 70 for like the gray
Oh.
ones. But like if you want those fancy colored ones or the Splatoon ones or shit like that, you're paying $80 and up.
So what's fuck? Is there even third-party things for that?
Yeah, like I mean, I did a review before for the like the Hori D-pad one, but you can only play that undocked. Or the there's the Pro controllers. There's third-party USB controllers you can buy, and I think there's third-party Joy-Cons too. So there's shit out there, but like nothing ever works as well as a straight-up Joy-Con. But the Joy-Cons are also prone to failure. So take your pick.
Here's a question, and here's something. You know how we've talked about many new consoles are coming out, and more it just seems like they're building basically a PC that's a console that's just probably not moddable.
Yep.
At this point, like, do we really need any new form of a controller? Like, why can't they just do a simple USB or something, and you pick the controller you want to use? Like,
Well, I mean, you know what? I think I just don't get why the sticks are so bad though, because like all the extra shit that they throw into the Joy-Cons with like the gyrospheres and the HD rumble and all that shit shouldn't be affecting the stick. I mean, I guess maybe it's just maybe they like if they took that shit out, then there's more room to make a better quality stick. But then they're so like nubby-ish too that maybe that's part of the problem. They have to keep it compact. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, here's the deal, and I've said I've learned to be okay with the Switch, but I think it is a badly designed setup, and yeah, those sticks are the worst of the modern consoles. Like PlayStation and Xbox have always been better with their sticks. Yeah, the nubbiness, maybe that is issue. I don't know, because I think of the Xbox and the PlayStation, they stick out more. They seem more sturdy, but also move a little better. So, like you said, maybe just really poor design. But I always love these class action lawsuits, because when I think of class action, my mind automatically goes to number of individuals that were actually harmed. But I guess if you want to debate it, you could say, okay, this was a clear indication that Nintendo knew they had a bad design, and all these people had to go out and spend more money on it. So,
Yeah, I just don't get it.
That's why I said at the beginning, I don't like it because I know there's a lot of people out there who still want to support and love Nintendo, but they're not a good like. Whether you love their first-party titles or not, and you love their systems, they do shit for fan service. They do shit for fan support, especially on things like YouTube with the copyright bullshit. And honestly, their hardware has all been dog shit since Super NES.
I'm not getting into this.
So it's a shame, because they recognize they could have admitted, I mean, and they probably are admitting it. Hey guys, we know we sold you a subpar piece of shit. It's like the bad American
But we're not going to do anything about
80s.
it.
Exactly. It's like that's my point.
It's the Pinto of controllers.
Yes. And if this isn't a wake-up call for people to be like, the easiest way to show you don't like companies, stop buying shit from them. I know it's easier said than done, but yeah, that sucks. I hope the class action lawsuit wins and Nintendo has to pay out some money.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Me too. I want money.
Shut up, Jim. You don't deserve nothing.
I deserve everything. Me.
Speaking of companies being stupid.
What?
The next one is... Don't you dare tell me you fucking like this shit.
I love it. I want it and I love it.
Well, you're not going to be able to get it.
Says you.
It says it's only released in Japan.
Set up an Amazon Japan account. There you go. It's easy enough to do.
All right, so we covered Sega 2 weeks ago at this point, or 3 weeks ago, when they made that absolute terrible decision to do the mini Game Gears.
Yep.
And now they've announced Astro City Mini Arcade to get 36, and I'm doing the quotes, classics.
Such a dick.
Jim, are you going to tell me?
They've only told 10 games. They only said 10 games so far.
And of those 10s, are all those classics, Jim? You're going to tell me Columns and Puzzle and Action Taint are goddamn classics?
No, I would say those two are not. And Dark Edge, I don't know what Dark Edge is.
So, once again, I will say classics.
Oh, bitch.
So, Sega
they're probably bigger in Japan.
Article.
And, I mean, it's cool, though, to see games like Columns 2, which never came out in the West. We only got Columns 1 and 3. Golden Axe, Revenge of Death Adder, which never got ported anywhere except for the arcade 1-up that's coming out. So, it's cool they're throwing these kind of things on there.
Well, it solved all that, Jim, is interesting.
There we go with the fucking meme.
No, just emulate it.
Yes, very aware, Brian.
So there you go.
Some of them I think are a little tough to emulate, like quality-wise.
They're not if you have a good PC, which you don't. But anyway.
Talking about the fucking ROMs.
So, as the article points out, basically, it's only going to be available in Japan, but it's a mini arcade cabinet. And when I say mini, this thing is goddamn small. Like, the guy in the one picture is holding it in his hand, and once again, the link to the article is below. But in the palm of his hand takes up more than probably 75% of it. So the screen...
Think the Neo Geo Mini.
Yeah. The buttons must be so goddamn close together, and the joystick itself must only come up like 2 inches, 3. It's ridiculously small.
But it's like real arcade buttons and like a clicky micro-switch joystick, HDMI out, USB plugs in the back for more controllers.
To me, it reeks of it. I'm glad it's only come down in Japan. Like, I actually don't want this to come to America and then waste, because it's $120, and it just looks stupid.
We need to start putting titles to these episodes, and episode 72 is going to be called Brian's No Fun. That's what this episode is going to be called.
Jim, what is fun about someone wasting their money on this just so they can play the Revenge of the Death Adder when you could just emulate it?
Yeah, it's cute. It's based on real Sega Japanese hardware.
See, that's my point.
You get games you've never gotten anywhere else except for the arcade. It's just reliving the arcade experience, just mini. Put it on your tabletop. You're not wasting the,
I would
it's not
rather
an arcade
someone buy an actual arcade, like a full arcade box, than this. Jim's eyes light up because this is something he thinks would look perfect on his shelf next to a Pokemon ball. Like, that's where his mind goes. It's not for him to actually play and enjoy.
Oh, I would play it.
No, you wouldn't. You would play it for 10 minutes, and you'd be like, huh, this was charming and cute. And then you would give a review of it, and you would show everyone your unboxing, like, this is bubble paper, and here's the instructions. And then you would say, oh, yeah, the games, they sound okay. And just like everything, because this is going to be ultimately an emulation cabinet, you would play it and say, the games are cool. Do I need to spend $120? Probably not. And then it would sit on your shelf, and you would never touch it again. How many of those mini consoles have you gone back and replayed after playing them a couple times?
I have played the Genesis and the Turbo ones the most. So, NES and SNES, I've barely touched. I played them a little bit. PlayStation, I don't think I've even opened. So
there's my point.
I got the PlayStation 1 for $20 knowing it was shit, but just to have it.
That's fine. And that's... If you told me this thing was $50, I'm fine. That's cool. $120?
See, Brian, here's the reason why you should want it to come out in more places, because then if it does poorly, then they'll just sell it for dirt cheap, and then you can get it for really cheap and enjoy it.
But I would never... Number one, I would need to see what other games come out on it.
Yes, but you do need to see what the hell else comes out on it.
Like, if you got this, to me, the appeal would be, if I got to play games I never really wanted to, I have a really nice TV I play video games on. I would hook it up to that and play. So I'm not even going to utilize that little screen, in theory. And the joy, and that joy, what was that one you got? The Tekken fighting pad for 360?
Oh, the one that came with Tekken 6, yeah.
Yeah, like, that is comfortable. If you give me something that size, I would much rather them sell me that at a higher price that I can hook up to my TV. And, like, that just looks really uncomfortable to me. Like, you're going to tell me that's, like, your hands, you think you'll be comfortable playing with that?
Remains to be seen. Got to see how it plays.
See, Jim fence sitter. He just won't admit. That's goddamn teeny.
It is small. It's very small.
Well, Jim's used to playing with small things. But, I mean, that's... Like I said, how about this, Jim? I'm happy for anyone that is a die-hard Sega fan and really wanted to play these and never had the experience. But I think it doubly actually does suck that it doesn't come out to the U.S. Let's put it that way.
All right. See, at least converted you a little bit. There you go.
But it's still Sega being complete jackasses.
At least this is a way better product than the Game Gear Micro, though. Leaps and bounds better.
I'll agree with that. Absolutely, with 1,000% agree.
Like, this should have been their 50th anniversary fucking announcement. Like, not that stupid Micro thing.
Yeah, this is plastic just looks cheap on it too. I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure if you can, you'll get your hands on, Jim. And then we can really talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll gladly let you spend $120 on this. Or you'll buy it secondhand for $100.
Or third hand. Or fifth hand.
So yeah, let us know what you guys think of that thing below. I'm sure a lot of you guys that follow us who are Sega fans think it's an amazing idea.
Goddamn right they do. People of taste.
Yet all these people with taste, Jim, still generally tend to agree with Daddy. So it's interesting, isn't it?
Stop at the fucking mouse clicks. Jesus. I can hear it through my goddamn headphones.
Jim, wait, stay still for 1 second.
I hate him.
Don't
I
worry.
hate him so much.
I cut the audio so you guys don't know what I just did, but I sprayed Jim with my my can of compressed air just to make his mic go loud.
Speaking of unpleasant sounds, Brian.
It's a perfect transition, Jim.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Next.
Why do you think I just did that?
You did not think
I mouse
that ahead.
clicked over to it.
Bullshit, you did.
Jim.
I'm the transmission man.
Jim, see, you're transmission man? You can't even say things right.
No, just because I can't words doesn't mean I can't transition.
All right, so this one...
Throwback for the page.
Interesting. Did someone send this to you, or did you just see it?
No, I just saw it.
Okay. So go ahead, give it a good old descriptor.
So, I'll give it a little preface. So, for those of you who have followed this page for years and years and years, back in the early days, we covered a shitload of all the NES games. We talked about it before. We eventually want to do a top 10 of every single NES game, sports game, blah, 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 blah. So we went through all the NES basketball games. And, of course, we played Double Dribble. And, of course, we had a thing where we would just keep going, because it sounds so garbled and bad. Turns out, the developers just fucked up when they did it. Because what is his name? Brad Smith?
Brad Smith, yep.
Yeah. Oh no, it was discovered by Enigma Wave. So
okay.
Christopher Mueller, Enigma Wave. Apparently, he was playing around with it, and he reversed basically. What was it? Let me find the exact wording because God knows I would screw that up. So
okay, so he said the bits of the sample were accidentally in reverse order.
That's what it was.
Here's how it's.
And it sounds clear as hell.
Yeah, the link is below, and listen to it. But here's the deal. What doesn't make sense to me, and obviously what's shown in this clip does sound good. Does it make sense though? Maybe how he worded it, it doesn't make sense. It still sounds in the shitty version like they're saying double dribble. It just sounds like terrible.
Right.
Like if it was in reverse order, wouldn't it be dribble double?
Well, I mean, it comes down to the sound channels, not to the order of the words being said. So, I mean, I think that's what he's getting at. Like, I don't know what a DPCM channel is, but yeah, he shifted the bits out of register in the wrong direction. So he must have changed the register of it, so whatever the octaves were, as well as putting them in the wrong direction, and then it turned out to be good. So I don't know if that's how they meant it to be, because Double Dribble was Konami, so I don't know how they heard that and went, all right, yeah, ship it. And, like, did no quality control on it back in the day, which is possible, early days of video games, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it almost makes you think they did it on purpose for reasons?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Konami is debatably the best when it comes to sound and music design on the NES.
They're up there, for sure.
So, for them to... that's what I'm saying. Like, if it was just a random in the middle of the game sound, I would see that... But yeah, as the opening thing. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, that seems like an odd, like, there must have, I don't know. Either way, the guy, this is a perfect example, as Sandy put it, like, what's something you know nothing about. The fact that somebody took the time to do this, that blows my mind. Like, I don't even know how he did that, what he did to do this. But, yeah. That's interesting. Wish somebody from Konami who was originally working on it or developed it would speak on this and be like, yeah, we fucked it up, but we just released it anyway.
Yeah, we had a deadline, so, shit happens. Stupid kids, stupid games.
They gemmed it.
They sure did.
Jim is Napoleon the new Munson.
They had a guy who knew a little bit about sound design, knew a little bit about a lot of things, but wasn't really good at one thing, putting it in order.
No, that's kind of a cool thing now. I like that.
Yeah, especially for how like, we started the podcast way after, but like we did a lot whenever we did any kind of basketball game or any sports game going forward.
And it was mostly you, and it annoyed the shit out of me.
Yes, I did.
I just like to say,
I'm glad I could bring it back
soul.
for this episode. It's got sand.
Damn it, Jim.
You're the only product.
Sand.
God damn it. But yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. That's a nice little throwback for the page.
No, I like that. Good topic.
Yeah, go me. Next up, this one is actually by you for one of our recurring bits.
Yep. So speaking of sound and music, we for a while here as a recurring bit, we've either tried to find music in video games that was inspired by real life music, or the reverse of that, basically a song that seemed to sample video game music. For the most part, it seems to be video game music is inspired by actual songs, and this one is
blatant.
Wow. As blatant as it could be. And you know what? I'll fully admit, it's gone completely over my head. I've heard both of these songs many times, and I've loved them, and I've never like put two and two together until I looked it up. And I'm going to put credit in the link below because I don't have it in front of me of where I saw this. But basically, I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to, well... Let me back up.
We're here.
The song is from Mega Man, the Electric Man stage, and Journey's Faithfully. So there is a undoubtable melody inspired from Faithfully from the opening that carries over. So I'm going to stop right here, and you can listen to the two compare each other. Oh, I farted. All right. So, it's pretty goddamn cut and dry. That is blatant. And Jim, I know you fan of Journey as well as I am. You've played Mega Man, and you and I are going through something right now listening to Mega Man songs. Did you know this at all before I did this?
No.
Isn't it crazy how...
I'm okay with Journey. I wouldn't say I was a big fan. So, I never heard Faithfully before.
Oh, calm your tits. You've heard the song at some point.
I don't remember it at all.
Of all the shit, it's always played at shitty dive bars, and we've been to plenty of those.
No, Brian, don't stop believing it's always played at shitty dive bars. No one plays Faithfully.
Oh, that too.
That's a story for another day.
Okay, so if Jim's telling the truth, which I don't believe, the melody is goddamn insane. So now
it is right there. There's no denying it.
Does it take anything away from you for, like, because I always looked at Electric Man as probably one of the strongest candidates from the original Mega Man, like, of the stages. It was one of the ones that was more memorable for me. Does that taint it at all for you when you see something like this?
Maybe a little bit, but Good Tracks is still a good track. Like, I still love the opening level to Doom, even though it's, a blatant ripoff, so.
Okay. But that's what I'm saying. Like, as we keep going through this, because I actually have a couple more lined up that shocked the shit out of me. There's some ones from Sonic and some other ones I've heard now. Like, if you were to find, like, not that you could do it off the top of your head, but throw out a random, like, one of your favorite songs from a video game ever.
All right, Windy Avenue by Granada.
So, if that turned out to be inspired and very clearly ripped off of some random 80s song, would that kill it for you at all?
Wouldn't kill it for me. It would be disappointing, but then it would also give me a new song to listen to.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how I feel. Like, I mean, like you said, a good song's a good song.
Right.
But it kind of sucks because I always looked at the Mega Man games especially as like, oh man, they came up with some of the best songs, and now like every song I think of, like every song I'm like, is this really a song I've heard before? And that's why I really like it. So we've talked about it with this segment. most things are not original. You get inspired by something, but this, man, it's fucking blatant. So, yeah, if you guys, once again, if you're listening, you hear these things, send it to us, because we'd love to talk about and see it. And it's just fun to kind of digest it and listen to it. So,
and plus, it gives us some good music to listen to. Why not? Might give you a new track on your iPod.
All right, Jim. Time for the 2 most reoccurring bits.
For real. I don't think we've missed any of these in fucking, like, 50 episodes or something.
It's been a while. It seems to be the ones that...
The thing I love is when people go, well, how do you compare these two? It's like, it's not that serious, people. Like, come on now. For the love of God.
Yeah. Don't... Number one,
Look at us.
Nothing,
Look at us.
There's nothing from our site, no matter what capacity, whether we're doing a review or a podcast, that you should be thinking we're assuming we're experts on by any means.
Oh yeah. I love the actuallys. Actually, did you guys like do any research? It's like, no.
No, of course not.
No wonder we're not more popular. Our most viewed videos, besides Parappa the Rapper 2 cutscenes, is all of our top 10s, which everyone fucking hates. So
they hate it, but they love to watch it.
They don't stick around though. they find it. It's good clickbait, but they don't stick around after.
All right, and for our which is better, it's a little bit more out there. It's not just video game or beer related, but it's one that is going to be goddamn tough for me to answer. I don't know how you feel, Jim. 80s movies or 80s video games. Now, I don't need to sit here and stress the crazy nostalgia people feel for the 80s, whether you were born in it or not. The style, music, movies, video games, like just everything from that time is still loved and cherished and looked back on. Like toys, wrestling, it doesn't matter. Every avenue. And I think the 2 most important things, at least for Jim and I, are probably movies and video games. We were both born in the 80s, and
we're 90s babies, though. We were born in the late 80s, so we don't remember a lot of it.
Yeah, but the point is, we grew up with all the, being a 90s baby.
But we also both had older brothers who mostly grew up in the 80s.
Yeah, so now, full disclosure, I fully look at the 80s as a time of, like I said,
cocaine.
Everyone, fuck Jim.
It was.
When I say 80s games, obviously, I guess you really, to be fair, you're really kind of limiting it to... The NES was the big thing of the 80s, as far as video games. Late 80s... What was the Genesis again?
88.
88. And, the Atari... Because when did the NES come out?
In Japan, 83. In North America, mostly like 85.
Okay. So, you still had like a little bit of like lingering from later Ataris and whatnot, but...
You had Atari, Coleco, and Television, then the crash in 83, and then you had the NES picking up the scraps and running with it, and then, you had the occasional Master System fan here and there, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
We all know the story.
But, yeah, I'm not trying to target it in any specific way. Like, I'm not saying historical or whatever, just our honest opinions. So, Jim, I'll let you go first, because for me, it's fucking tough.
Actually, for me, it's kind of easy. Games.
Really?
You're more likely to find an 80s game that holds up than a movie.
So, like, So, you don't
Never-Ending Story sucks. Lost Boys is good, but fucking what's that other
Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, those suck to you?
They're good. I mean, no, there's a ton of great movies in there, but just like all the ones that like the kids and the nerds like jizz over the most, like I want to say like Never-Ending Story and Goonies. Fucking Goonies is a terrible fucking movie.
Jim,
if you didn't see it when you were 5, it doesn't hold up. Same with Never-Ending Story. And there's a shitload of movies from the 90s you could say that about. But
we need to back up Jim for 1 second here. As we've established, for anyone listening to this, Jim is hateful of anything. A lot of people like.
I'm not being hateful about it. I wanted to like it.
Jim, but you're one of the few that watched it and just didn't like it. Like, that's a very rare. Don't act like you're saying it like it's a truth.
Because everyone watched it when they were kids. I didn't watch it when I was a kid. I watched it when I was an adult. I wanted to relive some little bit of childhood and be like, oh, here's something I missed out on, and it's boring and bad, like a lot of '90s movies. I guarantee, if you didn't grow up with the fucking Parent Trap and you watch it now, you're not gonna fucking like it. And you know how I saw that with my fucking nieces going, what the hell is this?
But here's the deal. There's no doubt. I'm not saying you don't watch them for the acting. You don't, like, if you went into that thinking you were watching a stellar performance by a goddamn kid in a flying dog.
No.
Then you were in the wrong mindset. Let me just put
right. You know me. I don't ever look for good acting performances, all right? I don't need good acting performances in my movies. I need a movie that's, like, interesting and fun.
But what's your hate on the, like, you know what? You said this thing's about me not liking fun. You hate fun. You hate fun.
You ruined Never-Ending Story for me when the fat kid got thrown in the goddamn dumpster and you looked at me and laughed.
It wasn't a fat kid. It was just the actually very skinny small kid. And he said, "Not the dumpster again."
And you looked at me and you're like,
and could you honestly say maybe there's a particular reason why you don't like the Goonies, Jim?
Because of you asking me for years for certain something? So yes.
In all fairness, it hasn't only been me. It's most people.
You started
that
it.
Have
I never heard it until I knew you, you Dutch prick.
And you did it a few times. You are a masterful truffle shuffle man.
But no, even without my hatred towards you in every way, I will still say that.
Watch.
Go on.
Hold on. I think the important thing.
And I love Ghostbusters, and I love Terminator and shit like that. I just think on the whole that, like, if you're looking for something, Aliens, yeah, Alien and Aliens are great. Well, first Alien was the '70s, but Aliens, great movie, tons of great movies. I just think if you're gonna try and find something that really has longer lasting appeal, and especially as something that you can go back to at an older age to really enjoy from something that is old, you probably have a better, easier time with video games than you would with a movie, in a lot of senses.
See, that's where I don't even, hold on, I'm still, like, focusing on this shit you're saying. So, the first thing is, when it comes to, if
like,
people are gonna go back,
I mean, like, I like Ghostbusters a lot, but, like, I don't know. I think, like, the jizz party people have for it almost makes it overrated. It's a great movie. It's a fantastic comedy, but, like, it's not as great as people say. Like, people worship that shit.
But we've been over this. People worship everything. Like, you can find, it doesn't matter. People worship the fucking Master System. People worship the Game Gear.
Right. Come on, they're called Europe. They don't count.
But that's my point. Is
they grew up with so little.
You're going to find the ultra nerds of everything. Like, here's a perfect example. I am not a huge fan of the Indiana Jones movies. And obviously, for 80s people, that's like a holy grail.
I mean, what do you call it? My favorite growing up was Temple of Doom. And when I went back to watch it, I was like, oh, man, this is pretty bad. Like, what do you call it? Not Lost Crusade. What the fuck's the first one?
Isn't that Temple of Doom?
No. Temple of Doom was the second one. Lost Crusade was the third one. Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's still good.
Yeah. Yep.
That's still great movies.
But that's my point. Is, like, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying, like, I never understood the crazy appeal of that. But interestingly enough, as you just said, if any kid born, like our kids, for example, when they grow up, if we say, okay, play Super Mario Brothers, after they've probably played whatever the latest Nintendo console is, whatever the latest Mario game, Zelda game, all those, there is fun in it, but they're also, like, as much as you and I might like to deny it and love historical context, a lot of them will look at the graphics and they'll be like, are you fucking kidding me with this? Like, you guys think this was good? Like, the music, the graphics, we can appreciate it because we grew up with it. Same with movies. Sometimes there are just really good movies that can stand the test of time. Now, me, obviously, way more, like, horror was a great time of the 80s, and there are a lot of just great cult movies.
Right.
But I don't always subscribe to the crazy love of the 80s movies. But also, what I didn't even think to ask is, you're kind of anti, like, 80s music, too, aren't you?
What? No, I like 80s music.
It was just a question, because you seem to be a little bitchy pants about it sometimes.
What bitchy pants? I love 80s music. You're bitchy pants to me.
We're
like, listening to Freedom by goddamn...
You're like, I'm not really a fan of Journey or any of those hair metal bands. Like, you never really seem to like...
Hair metal's fun. No, like, Journey. One, Journey isn't hair metal. And two, Don't Stop Believing got fucking ruined by fucking Big Ed. So...
No, but my point is, I don't know. I think, honestly, this is not my opinion. If I'm trying to be subjective, I think movies will have the 80s movies that are really good ones and the more classic. Like I said, do I think Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, some of these are all-time, like, greatest movies you ever need to see? Absolutely not. And I'm sure when people watch them, they're not going to get their references. They're not going to get some of the stuff. I think some of the worst aging things are comedies from any era ever. Like, people still talk about Animal House and some of the, like, they don't hold up quite as well. But, like, I think there are movies like Gremlins and things that you can still watch and really appreciate. So it's kind of tough for me to say which one.
Yeah, now, at the end of the day, good is good. I don't know, maybe it just all comes down to what you got more impression with, too, I guess.
As a kid. Yeah, like, I don't know, because I think 80s movies defines the culture altogether, because a movie, at the end of the day, will include the soundtracks, the stupid style, the this, the that. I think that will ultimately have longer lasting power. And the 80s games, although I do love them, I was kind of trying to frame this in the way of asking, do you think the love that we grew up with, like the crazy nut-hugging love of the NES, is starting to die out just because it is an older generation? Like, you and me, we played Atari a tiny bit as kids. You a little bit more because your brother had the system.
Right.
But honestly, not a single person, unless they're a hardcore kid that grew up or older enough to play with that, gives two shits about the Atari.
No, they don't.
Like, that thing is completely forgotten. And I think as we keep going forward, the NES will follow that path. The only thing I think that really has kept it alive is, like, the NES Mini.
Well, you know what? It's the NES Mini and it's NES Online on the Switch. Like, Nintendo, more than anyone, well, I guess you can throw Sega in there, too, really holds back. Like we've talked about before, they really sit on the old catalog and they keep pushing it out there. I just think, like, it'll be easier, and I've seen it with, like, buddies of ours. Like, it's pretty... A lot of them have surprisingly gotten their kids into playing old NES games with them and having the kids get into it and, like, sit down and play it. Whereas I think, like, if you tried to show them, like, an old movie, like, in a lot of ways that could be a tough stretch to get them to sit down and appreciate more.
Well, okay, so that's a good example. So if you look at, like, 80s Disney movies, the hand-drawn cartoons... Yeah, it's...
That was a bad time for Disney, too.
Well, it was a bad time for Disney, but I also look at the 80s as a time, especially for movies, and of course, apologies beforehand, I associate a ton with sci-fi, horror, action. The effects all being practical have such a different feel and look. Like, 90s, early 90s still had most of that, but then when they start dicking around with CGI, a lot of 90s movies are the equivalent of, like, the N64 and PlayStation. Like, some of that shit did not age well at all, just because
that's a great comparison.
They were trying. So, the 80s was the last pure, like, we hit the peak of knowing how to do practical effects, and you can just, everything feels completely different. And there's a feeling I get when I watch some of those classic 80 movies that I don't get when I watch other movies. And maybe it's because of things like that. And I feel like it was just a time when America was just in a different place. Like, there was just so much different. The humor was at a different place. The soundtracks that were used. It was just, I don't know. I feel like it's never going to be replicated again. And I feel like it's easier to replicate any thoughts or feelings on games because now newer games are trying to make 8-bit or 16-bit versions of games and do this, and they can make the retro, but, like, you're never going to be able to get that same feel of an 80s movies like that. So it holds a special place moving forward.
Fair.
Yeah, like I said, there was no. I literally put this up here right before we started. It's tougher for me. I don't know, man. It's people hold love for either of them.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just feel like personally for me, it's been easier for me to go back to classics that I missed from my childhood of 80s stuff game wise and enjoy it than it was movies.
Interesting.
Maybe it helps. Maybe it helps that I didn't grow up with the NES. So all those classics that I either barely touched or never touched, like, good's gonna be good no matter what. So.
Yeah. There's no wrong answer on this one. So everyone in the comments, let us know what you think. Let us know if you have a preference or you think which one aged better. Just let us know below. But, interestingly enough, for our last topic, I guess you could almost call us like an 80s topic.
In honor of the AVGN and Irate Gamer finally coming together, Brian.
Well, and also, who's the guy that always asks us about redoing more of these?
Oh, Mark's my bitch.
Yeah, so...
Every time. We already gave you your goddamn LJN one.
And we
Once
and
more.
May do more. We'll just say that. I don't want to leave it off the table. So, overrated, underrated. The hate for the LJN games. Obviously, it's been very... The nerd is the thing that really put it on the map of the hate for LJN.
It's a meme.
It's completely a meme. And honestly, growing up, I never thought about it much, and a lot of the LJN games that like he really hated on, because I didn't know any better. I just thought they were tough games, and I sucked at them. I didn't think of them as like
bad games.
The concept of like they just made a bad game never entered my head until I saw his videos. I was like, oh, maybe they just did. But since that time, everyone's jumped on the bandwagon. It doesn't matter what game it is. It's considered terrible if it was made by LJN. And I'll be honest, Jim and I have said, we've played a lot of these LJN games, and they're not as bad as everyone talks about.
They're not great, but they're not as bad.
Well, the one that cracks me up the most, and I don't know if you agree, Jim, but like on our top 10 best NES baseball games.
Oh, we had some hate.
We talked about Major League Baseball. We saw the symbol. We said, man, this thing's going to fucking blow. We played it, and we said, are we just wrong? Does this just control really well?
Yes, Brian. Yes, we are wrong. It's got glitches, and if you can hit in the same certain spot every fucking... It's a fucking NES
Exactly.
baseball game. Stop! Why do you care so much?
So
None of them are that good. They're not... Even baseball stars. Like, they're not as good as the 16-bit games, and they're not as good as baseball games now. They're better now if you want your damn simulation games. Go with Cyber Warriors or go with Baseball Simulator, the goofy ones. Those are the ones that are fine. Or Dusty Diamond Softball. Like, I'll give you those. Fine. Good. Fuck.
Yeah.
Bases Loaded's way better. You just didn't spend time with it. You're fucking right. It's fucking NES baseball.
But even that dude Mark's my bitch. He wants us to keep doing it because he thinks it's funny because he think we'll hate it. And to be honest, we rate games not based on preconceived hype or whatever. So while these games aren't amazing by any stretch, the real question is all this actual hate? And I have the list of the NES games, and it's actually shorter than I thought it was.
Yeah.
So we'll real quick blast through them. We don't have to give opinions on all of them. But like real quick, if you've played it or not, what do you think, Jim? So Alien 3, only on the NES.
It's okay.
Okay, Back to the Future.
It's a little rough.
Back to the Future 2 and 3.
Never played.
Okay, Beetlejuice.
It's rough. It's interesting. It's rough.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Bad.
Friday the 13th.
Didn't really play it enough.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Gotcha the Sport.
Never played.
I never played that. The Incredible Crash Dummies.
It looks bad, but I never played it.
Jaws.
It's fun for the 10 minutes it lasts. It's frustrating,
Exactly.
but it's the last 10 minutes.
This next one, probably one of the worst. The Karate Kid.
It's bad, but I still would say it's not fully as bad as they say. It's rough. It's really rough.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it's like... I think there's way worse.
Major League Baseball, as we just said.
I was fine with it.
NFL football.
I was fine with it.
That's another one. That's debatably the best simulation on the NES for football.
Yeah, and again, if you're looking for simulation football games, don't play it on the NES.
Exactly. Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's all right.
Yeah. Pictionary.
Classic.
All right, this one is a little surprising. The Punisher.
That was a surprisingly good game. I thought that was
really,
good.
That was fun as hell.
Yeah.
Roger Clemens MVP Baseball.
That was bad. We played that. That was bad.
Spider-Man Return of the Sinister Six.
It's okay. It's not great, but it's fine.
That's fine. Yep. TNC Surf Designs Wood and Water Rage.
I never cared for it.
I never cared for
people,
it, but I
people
thought
love
it played
it.
fine.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 Judgment
Oof.
Day.
That's a rough one.
Thrillers Safari TNC 2.
What?
Just, yeah. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Interesting concept, bad execution.
Yep. Wolverine.
You know what? Wolverine was like the proto Spider-Man X-Men Arcade's Revenge. So like even though it's like not good and unfairly hard, like I kind of don't hate it because I have nostalgia for Wolverine Spider-Man X-Men, which is also like a overly hard game, but you know what I mean.
Yep. And then WWF WrestleMania Challenge.
None of those old wrestling games are really good.
No. But that one had that goofy mechanic of throwing people out the ring. And there was something kind of, because it was so bad, it was like fun bad.
No, I thought fucking Silver Surfer was LJN. I guess it isn't.
If it is, it's not listed.
Yeah,
here.
no, I saw that there's a tier list and it wasn't on there too, so I gotta look that up.
And then I have WWF WrestleMania Steel Cage Challenge.
That's
yeah. So here's the deal. We're not saying this is a great list, but all of these games, you like it or not, you can play them. Some of them are ridiculously hard, very convoluted. But as you can tell, the thing they really thrived on was licensing popular movies of the time. And if you wanted a chance to play... Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot the Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. But if you wanted a chance to play, like, a random Back to the Future game, or Beetlejuice, or Bill and Ted's, or Friday the 13th, or... You know,
they were the license guys.
Friggin' Nightmare. They were the license guys. And like I said, I'm not saying the quality was amazing, but you can honestly say there's a lot of NES games that didn't exactly do great jobs.
All right, so Brian, let's just cut to the core. So which side do you want to take?
I'm going to say the hate is overrated.
Okay.
I don't think it's warranted. I don't think there's a reason for that much hate. I think it's just like most things, it's a popular opinion now. And to try to defend it or say anything else, you come off a certain way. The games aren't great, but you shouldn't fully dismiss them. And if you play with most of them enough, you may actually find enjoyment. And most of those games I played as a kid in the heyday, I thought they were good. I just thought I sucked at them, which is why I couldn't get through them. So, yeah, keeping it simple.
All right, and I'll play devil's advocate, and I'll say underrated, just for the simple reason, like, for the people who say it's a meme, sure, it's a meme, but it's a meme for a reason. Like, a bad game's a bad game, and it's a tarnished brand, and there's a couple gems in there, but for the most part, if you see LJN, it's going to be warranted that it's going to get the hate.
Yeah.
Now, if you want my real feeling, it doesn't really matter that much.
Jim, and one thing I realized when we try and do these, if you're doing the opinion you don't agree with, you give up pretty easily.
No, I wasn't giving up there. But what do you call it? Like my opinion is like I do honestly think like it is a bad brand. Like it earned its reputation, but it's also a hard one to say underrated for because it's a meme. Like it's overly hated. That's the problem there. But like it's justifiable hatred, I can say.
Yeah. I also feel the same way when who was that guy you mentioned? The one that defends them too much?
Oh, Cygnus Destroyer, LJN Defender, that like his gimmick.
Yeah. Like I know it's his gimmick, but yeah, I also feel like don't try to defend it too hard.
I mean, it made for a decent enough gimmick for a YouTube channel.
True. But yeah, I wanted to hear what you guys think. We know there's some people out there that really want us, like we said, Mark's my bitch. But other people have mentioned to us, like, wanting to see us play. The thing is, it's not like the level of bad that some games. Now, we have played some games that were like, holy shit, these are terrible.
I've still never played a worse game than Wayne Gretzky Hockey on the NES. It's still the worst game I've ever touched.
Well, what's worse, that or that Pit Fighter port?
Pit Fighter's really bad, but I'd probably rather play that. I think the two worst games I've ever played for this site were not fucking Pit Fighter, were Wayne Gretzky NES and Superman on the Game Boy.
I don't know. I'd have to go back. We've played some. We also have played a lot of games that we just never actually got to put out a review for.
We've played some.
Some of those fighting games were. Oh.
Some of them I forgot we reviewed too. When I was going through, like, adding all the descriptions and shit to the old videos, I was like, holy shit, we did this one?
Yeah.
And we have a lot of them.
So, let us know what you think below. Do you think the LJN deserves as much hate as it does, or is it a little overstated? All right, Jim. So, with that, what'd you think of your beers?
Well, I already talked about the Hop Wallop and the Flat Tire. I finished off with a couple more of those Roy Pitt Sour Hounds, which they're good, nothing special, decent enough sour. I think if any of these were going to be the one to go for a Flat Tire. It's going to be the most approachable out of all of them. So that is my beer choice for the night.
Okay. For me, the Hop Belly IPA, this is my third one I'm finishing off now. It's, yeah, if you know what, this would be a perfect beer if you don't like IPAs and you want to try to start them because it's so goddamn subtle and light. Maybe you would appreciate it, but kind of like light beer is to regular lagers, it's just a watered down version of the thing you really should be trying. So it's not terrible, but probably stick to regular IPAs unless for some reason you feel the need to drink IPAs in the sun, and that's not a good idea. It's never a good idea.
It's like drinking a stout in the sun, but not as bad.
Yeah. So with that, guys, thank you all for listening once again. Check our schedule tomorrow on Twitch. I'm going to be updating it for the streams I'm going to be doing this week. And keep following us on Twitter. If you're not already, please go over, subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you want to give us a rating on iTunes, give us a 5. Even if you want to bash us, we'd really appreciate it. But we're available literally everywhere iTunes are available. And with that, guys, cheers.
Cheers.